and how your life cycle is. So today's presentation again is timing is everything. Understand a brand's life cycle to ensure maximum marketing return on investment. And with that, Steve, take it away.
Hi there. I'm Steve, and that's actually the longest title that I've ever seen or heard of, but it's really a great topic. And so when I was coming over here today, I was thinking that I needed to be on time. And it's funny, if I wasn't on time, I wouldn't get to do what I needed to do, speak to you. So, and you've also heard someone tell that a success came from they were just on the right place at the right time, and time is right to move ahead. In marketing, timing is everything, and your marketing is a brand. So that's really critical and important. Firstly, I'd like to talk about what's a brand today, and where is your brand's life cycle, and how to make the most out of your investment in marketing. So these are the things you're going to learn. But first, have you thought about how important is a brand, and where should you focus your marketing investments, and has your market or your business changed, and is your business keeping up with those kinds of changes? These are all very important questions to think about in terms of your business. But like first, what's a brand? And the reason why I want to talk about what's a brand is because I want to make sure we're on the same page. Everybody sort of thinks they know what a brand is, but let's talk a few minutes about that. A brand is your business personality. It tells the story of your organization's mission, vision, values, and strategies in words and images and experiences, and together defines and distinguishes it, the brand, from the competition. And what does this create for you? It's a shorthand for your audiences that can understand and communicate and refer you to others. That's really very important. But is a brand important? Really? Well, I would say that a brand, first of all, affects almost every aspect of your business. And you have a brand whether you like it or not. If you don't manage a brand and control a brand, people will make up a brand for you. And it might not be the kind of brand that you want. You can see here that brands affect profits and valuation of the company. If you're, if you're selling, or if you're a listed company, it can reduce marketing costs. It's great for recruiting talent. I'll tell you, we changed and made more more clear the fact that we do a lot of work in the nonprofit world, and it changed the people who came to look for a job at our company. And so that's an example of what a brand can do. While a brand is at the center of the business, there's still many questions that should be asked, and answers to those questions really not only are important, but the actions that you take with those brands and to those questions can make you a lot of money, and they're very important for your business. A few examples that we might look at are what specific needs does your brand, does your company fill in your market? And who is your key competition, and how are you unique from them? Also, what image you have versus your competition, and what would the ideal image be for you as a company? And today, more than ever, things change. Things change for companies. A great example of that, again, is a client of ours, was called, what was it called? I can't remember. Zenic Financial Planning. And Zenic Financial Planning was a planning company that had morphed into a different sort of business. They had gone from a planning business to actually a wealth management business. And they recognized that they had a challenge and some other challenges as well. And over a course of about 6 or 8 months, we worked with them, and we really changed them very much. We changed their name, we changed their position in the marketplace, and we made people understand what they did, the new things that they were doing. And by the way, in 3 years, we added $1 billion to their business. That's $1 billion. So uh, you should think about for yourself. Have you recently added products or services that have changed the nature of your business or your target customers? Now, you know, if you don't communicate clearly about that, you can really hurt your business. Okay, you think you're doing some cool stuff, but it's really a problem. If you do a great job, perhaps you can have the kind of results that Trail Solis did, and that's the new name for Zenith Financial. In any case, it's really great, and it's very important. Um, brand and businesses evolve over time, and we break that into 7 moments. So we have a new concept, an introduction, growth, maturity, decline, innovation, and reintroduction. And we're going to take and go through these different steps and talk about what's going on in each one of them and best practices for those particular moments in time, and help you think about your business and ways that you can improve what you're doing. So first, based on the cycle, what's the most important marketing tactic you should focus in on now? And how to make the most on an investment in marketing by using best practices in brand development. So these things are things that we're going to cover. Well, first we're starting at the beginning. Okay, you can't get earlier than a new concept. So you have a new concept. Best practices will say that you gain an understanding of what special need you're filling for the marketplace. And then you refine the product. You've made it even better than it was. And you're ready to go. You're ready to go to the market. Well, now you get to the next step, and we call that introduction. And these are the activities we believe necessary to ready for launch, to build a foundation to connect with your ideal audience. We're looking at things like naming, which people usually do first, logos, taglines. We're talking about values that you're codifying within the organization. If it's a consumer product, maybe you're packaging it. Everybody's going to do a website. But one of the things that people don't think about because they don't really understand it, they don't understand the need for it, is positioning in the marketplace. We have it first, and we have it first for a reason, because we feel that is definitely the first step of a series of steps before you go and launch the product. So first, you have a business strategy, and your ideal. Once you've designed the business strategy, the next step for us is figuring out the best way to satisfy your customers' needs and what you're trying to give them. And then you develop a strategy to solve that problem, to solve that need, so that you're really building a path for a successful experience for the client. Then you have marketing strategy, followed by positioning. So what is a position? Well, it's important, okay? And so what it is, it's so important that we think of it as the lifeblood of your business and of your brand. And it's a process that uncovers or clarifies what's special, that is delivered, sustainable, and differentiating about your business. And your position should state a clear purpose that is valuable to your audience, that's solving a problem or need, that's deliverable. It's got to be deliverable. You can't just make up stuff. And so examples of that, I have here really some great examples, and you're all familiar with these brands, but each one has a really well thought out position. So if you think about Disney, it is really truly family fun. And they do everything in terms of how they look and feel and how they interact and how they advertise and the films that they make. They really think about it, their business in that way. And you look at Walmart. Walmart designed a complete infrastructure. Everything about it is to get their prices low and to be able to deliver the best value. And Google, what's more simple than Google? You go to a blank screen with a hole in it and you get what you want. Okay, go to Apple, and everybody knows today Apple has really done a fabulous job with regard to innovation. So you can see that the position is really important, but it's not important just to have it. It's once you have it, it's important to let it lead you to the ways to really connect to your audiences on an ongoing basis in a positive way. So after position, okay, the next thing we're thinking about in the life cycle is growth. And really, growth puts, you've done that stuff in the introduction phase, and so you're at a time now when you really want to make something out of that. And this is really the promotion and the communication time of the business. And so you're building brand awareness, you're building a reputation, you're using social media effectively, you're maybe building e-commerce, you're certainly doing advertising, optimizing your website and doing all those kinds of things. But these are the kind of tactics that will bring you customers, and it's also the time. It's a long time because you use these tools on an ongoing basis. You just change the content, and so this phase, this step, the stage of business life cycle and the brand life cycle does continue and get used. We're now at a point where I'm going to start to show you some examples of things that point out the success and the opportunities in each phase. And I'm going to show you at each phase a case study that's going to speak about the individual companies. Loacker USA is the number one cookie brand in Italy. They're in more than 100 countries worldwide, and they just came here to the U.S. actually a little over a year ago now, and they've hired us actually to be their branding and marketing company here. And so they already had a position, so we didn't have to create a position. Their position was all about pure goodness. And what we did with them was really take that position and explode it out and create it for the U.S. market, because it's more than pure goodness. It's pure happiness, it's indulgence, it's delight. When we did our research, we found that these were some of the things that people really wanted to connect with. And so what we did, and you'll see here, a series of promotions and advertising and really every different kind of connection, really continuing to put the idea of pure in people's hands and minds. So we did contests, we did radio, we have events going to urban areas, giving away product and meeting people. You can see all kinds of events and sales support for their people, out-of-home advertising, going around neighborhoods, really telling them people about the new products. Even door hangers. I mean, not door hangers, dry cleaner hangers. These are great, though, by the way. This is a really effective tool. Websites and website support. The distribution is limited with the product, so store locator was very important in terms of getting sales and building awareness. Naturally, working through social media is part of it, and really building that effectively. So what does all that do? Okay. Well, what it did for them in the first 5 months is it added 38% to the awareness of the company in the marketplace. That's an unbelievable increase. And it really was a combination of the base idea of really using that position and putting it out into the marketplace in all different ways. And it really confirms what we're talking about, the possibilities that are there for this stage of growth. Another example here, Fairway, they said that they had a 20 to 30% increase in the locker sales. And that's pretty good, I think. And I think they thought it was too, and they do very much. So here we are at the third. That's finishing the third stage. But now, what happens to a company is it comes into a stage of maturity. This is also a long stage, and this is something that you also can continue to do on an ongoing basis. But this is the time when you know your customers better, so you're going to be more responsive to their needs. Maybe you're launching a new product because you're thinking about the product that can serve them because you know them better, and you're looking for new ways to get more money out of them. Frankly, you develop the brand experience, make it better. You develop loyalty too, because what you want to do eventually is get the people who are your customers to become your advocates. And really, that's a great way to grow, especially with the tools available on social media today. So it's a very powerful and opportunity and a great way to go. And then you start to go outside of your comfort zone. You're starting to look for new customers who you never thought about before. And that's again the other part of the stage of this cycle, of the maturity cycle. Well, here again, I want to show you an example of a company that reached the stage of maturity. There's a company called UX Specialized Logistics, actually now called US Specialized Logistics, but it was Urban Express. Urban Express was the number one messenger service in New York with more than a 50% market share, and some of the biggest clients in the area. So they work with Condé Nast and some of the big law firms, and there they wore the company's uniforms rather than Urban Express. And over time, they had grown and developed new products based on their core competencies of really building and satisfying the movement of products and goods for their customers' needs. And so in order to move them out of the messenger service business, which Urban Express was perfect, speed and service, great, let's get here, get quick, that's fantastic. They really were a much bigger company, and UX Specialized Logistics became their name. And here, as we did, as we suggested with the earlier process, we repositioned them, okay, in terms of broadening them and codified the things that they were doing, and then went to the stage of building a brand that was really effective and going across all the verticals that they were working with. So we had Urban Express same day. That their brand was so important that we kept that, and the idea there was to have that morph eventually to UX as well, but we didn't want to throw it under the bus. And so we were developing the identities, make them more modern, make them more competitive with with some of the people who they were working against, which was UPS and FedEx, and really to have a look, a feel, and the tools to be able to get clients more readily, get meetings more readily, and serve their clients. And we also developed a new tagline, Synergy, Service, and Solutions, which was really the core of what they are and what they do. And here you see a series of things that we created for them, brochures and different ways to connect, and trucks and delivery trucks and bikes and T-shirts and all that stuff. This is their front window, the 33-foot graphic. But most importantly here for them was really building a new suite of websites because they needed to serve their individual verticals. So we actually built them 5 websites. But the main thing here is that what they were doing in the time of maturity is really breaking out, taking their core competencies and moving that out into the marketplace very effectively, and really growing. So it's important that you do that. And here's an example of, again, some remarkable success. In the first year, we had 23% increase after launch. Second year, 25% increase. That, by the way, has continued. The employees really bought in. Now, they had some good employees, no doubt, but they really were excited about the change and the modernization of everything. So it was really wonderful. And also, they have a program called Committed to Green, and it's interesting because they have a challenge in that the things they do use energy, and trucks spew pollution, and it's a dirty business, frankly. So their brand wasn't dirty, but the Committed to Green was very important because they were showing their customers that they were out there trying to balance the realities of what the business was with a program that was trying to mitigate some of those issues. So next is something nobody likes to talk about, but the fact is that eventually your business gets to that point, and invariably it does. And this is the fifth stage, decline. Now the decline can be a little or a lot, and so that makes a big difference. So as an example, IBM right now, actually about 2 weeks ago, announced that they were going to do some major changes in the company because not because they were going out of business, okay, but because there was a real need to change. There was a need to, they weren't getting enough bang for their buck in certain areas. So if I remember correctly, they've decided to essentially go out of the hardware business and really sell that off and really think about their business in a different way and really make it fully a consulting business. So if you get to that point, there's things that you really need to do. First thing you need to do is hold on to your current customers as best you can. Okay, so you really want to reach out and do that. Another one is you start really wanting to look more closely at what the experience is for your customers. You always want to do that, but you want to even get deeper in it. You want to look at your management more closely. What's your management doing to help you and to help, to help their customers, or to just keep the company organized in the best way so they're focused in the right way. You want to look more closely at your consumers. You want to look at them differently than you have before. Okay, you want to look at them in the context perhaps more about your competitors. You want to do general market research, and you want to look at trends. You want to look at things that are going on in the entire market to see what can, where you can go, where you can move. Now you've gathered some information now. And the information that you have is really important. So now you got to start doing something with it. So now you start to research, you start to think about things, and here you're falling into the next stage. That's innovation. That's more action than just finding out. And maybe you're putting together a new product, or you're really maybe trying to serve a new audience. And these are things that you work on, that you decide, and then ultimately you're making a plan about that, and to see how you can affect the ultimate business and save yourself. So that leads to a repositioning, perhaps, okay, or maybe a refinement in that. Again, we'll remember that positioning is the lifeblood and has to be consistent. But if it has moved off the mark because the rest of the world has changed, or something has happened dramatic, or some competitors come in there and start to eat your lunch for some reason, and you have to hang your hat at a different place, you have to be thinking about doing that. And that might bring rebranding, okay? Probably does in some way. Rebranding doesn't mean necessarily a new logo, okay, although it can. Doesn't mean a new name, although it can. It just means communicating, putting things out in a way that is more effective to this new idea. And then new packaging. Packaging can become a consumer package, but it can be anything. Packaging is a new website, making it look different. Packaging is uniforms that your staff wears, or the experience of a customer who comes to your store or comes to your office. We had a client who was a financial service company who wanted to double their business in 5 years. They didn't want any more customers, and their services were 100% fee based. So it didn't make any difference how much business they did for their clients. Their fees would be the same based on that. So what did it mean? They had to raise their prices. They had to double their prices in 5 years. And so an example of repackaging that is in their offices. This is a small part, but in their offices, we changed the way that they serve coffee, and we made their receptionist a concierge, and just things like that. But that was part of a major thing. Actually, it was pretty good though. They doubled the business in 3 years, and they got bought by Boston Private, and they're very happy. Uh, but so the next is rewarding brand loyalty. You have groups of people who have stayed with you over the period of time, and you want to reward them. You also want to tell them why you're changing, because you don't want to lose them. So you want to hold on to them, and then you want to drive them again to help you reach new markets. And so that's the idea of driving brand advocacy, because that advocacy is not you; it's really them. Uh, so again, as we had done before, I want to give you an example of this exact situation. Uh, so Dinewise is an interesting company. They were Colorado Prime, and they were focused mostly on meat as food. Oh, excuse me, I should tell you what they did. They deliver food to your home. So you buy the food and they deliver it to your home, and you eat it. It's frozen food. It's not fresh food. And it was a successful company. Again, focused mostly on meat and home delivery, and they were mostly focused on men. So it was just men, buy. Well, the world changed. First thing happened with them is they they acquired most of their customers with cold calling. Well, the government said you couldn't cold call anymore. Whoops, that had a big impact on their business. And also people's eating habits changed. And as the cycle went on, it turned out that women were making more and more of the decisions about these kinds of things. And the business had to become more women focused. So you'll see in the brand, it changed a lot from sort of a chef and something heavier and more meat focused. Good name. Actually, we suggested that they use the name for their meat. Uh, and then Dinewise was really, again, more about this sort of new way to think, new kind of cooking, new kind of food, and we asked them to rethink meals as part of the position. Uh, so then there's a series of the same sorts of things that you saw before, really doing things to create the best possible experience and target the new audience in the best possible way. Um, they also had to get new vendors to support their program, and that was so we developed packages so they could get the right products for what they were serving. There was outreach for the customers, uncovering the problems that they had. There was experience for when they received the product, and it's very different than the silly stuff that they got before, completely changing the nature of that. They went to home shows, and so created again an experience for those people, and a really positive and engaging experience. For their website, we recreated their website, and this is a pretty good change. They had a 150% increase in their average order size, and actually at the time they had the highest average order size of any business in their category in the world, which is good. Um, and then again, advertising and connection and doing things to acquire new customers. And this was all new for them and a new way to get to people with a new kind of experience, solving the problem for the woman who was making most of the decisions associated with it. And this is actually the results. And this is not a typo, and it seems ridiculous. Sometimes I don't like to even tell it because 354% is rather large, but that's the fact of the matter. And so they were clearly very excited, and it was a great thing for them. Now, actually, it's interesting though. I want to tell a little more of the story here because I talked about the idea of being deliverable and doing things in the best possible way. Well, I shouldn't badmouth them because they were good clients and they did all the right things with regard to marketing. But frankly, they didn't do a good thing in terms of product, and they weren't really delivering what they said they were going to deliver. And so they got lots of orders, okay, but they didn't get the reorders. They weren't able to grow their business because in businesses, obviously, you want to, there's a long-term value in each client, and you want to do the things um, that keep people in line and have them stick and have them talk about you. And you don't want to have them talking about you negatively. You want to have them talking to you positively. And as I said about position originally in the first slide, second slide, third slide, in any case, one of the things that's very important about a position is stuff that's deliverable. And in this case, they could have delivered, but they were greedy and they felt that they didn't need to, and it hurt them. And so the business still there, okay, but it has never been able to really um, um, sustain its initial explosion that was achieved by really effective branding, which they participated in and were a key part of working together with us. And they were really into it. But then they dropped the ball on the product and the service associated with it, which is too bad. Um, as you're thinking about your business and marketing, I hope you'll see the potential in understanding the stage you're in of your business. And it'll be an important tool to target your investments. And that's the whole idea of what we're talking about here. We have all these seven stages and the things to think about first as you're reaching those stages. You know, if you can afford it, you can do it all at the same time. You know, it's great. You can do, but the fact is that this is the way businesses evolve, and this is really the best way to place your bets. Um, I so, are there any questions?
What we're going to do is have people, let's bring it to the end, and then we'll take a lot of questions. Remind everybody that you can type your questions in on the keyboard, and we'll take them. Some people are beginning to put in some questions. But I'll let you kind of wrap it up, and then we'll go into a conversation on some of the questions.
Well, one thing I just want to let you know, this is my email address. And if you send me a note and you would like to receive a Red Cycle chart, I have a series of questions. I ask a lot of questions during the program, but I have a whole series of questions that you can look for yourself, and do a self-analysis of your business from a marketing perspective. And we're offering a 30-minute call or meeting to discuss your current situation if you're interested.
That's a great offer, Steve. Thank you. Okay, so first of all, I want to thank you for presenting all of this, and we want to take some questions in a minute. So you can send directly to Steve. That's SM at PM and Co. And then we'll go back for 1 second so you can all write it down in case you missed it. SM at designpm.com. You can put in your questions. So one of the questions that I see that you have here, and what I'd like to do is read the questions out to people, and then you can answer them, if that's all right with you.